Welcome back to our channel.
Hey Mighties, welcome back to our channel. Yesterday I posted on my Instagram page a poll where I asked if you guys wanted to see another vlog from us or if you guys wanted us to do a question and answer, and a lot of you guys voted for question and answer. So I had you guys DM, comment me, text me all of your questions, and the point of today's video is us answering the questions.
Yeah, we want to do the Q&A because although we do our OurSpecFamily videos and things of that sort, we want to also continue advocating for autism awareness, especially in the form of information. And so we want to constantly create dialogues back and forth on autism and how people feel about it, what they think about it, and we're trying to encourage people to do more of this.
And just keep in mind, this is our opinion and it's from our perspective. So just please respect, again, that it's our opinion and it's from our perspective. So let's get into it.
Okay,
so what is autism? Autism, what is it?
We'll start off with that. So if you type in autism on Google, it gives you this definition: a serious developmental disorder that impairs the ability to communicate and interact.
That's pretty straightforward.
That's pretty straightforward. That's pretty...
Signs, initial reactions. I shared with you that my nephew is also on the spectrum. He has a hard time when things are not the norm. For example, if toiletries are moved, he wants them put back to where he is used to them being. If he does something he's supposed to do, he wants you to say, "Good job," and only that. He'll keep asking you to say it. Do you accommodate things like this? Or do you try to break them out of their comfort zone? How do you deal with them around others who laugh at some of stuff they do? Like my nephew impersonates everything and everyone. So if I were to say, "Hey, do you want to go to grandma's?" He'd say, oh, grandma's like this. People always laugh at that. So not so much how do you deal with the people laughing, but how do you make sure they don't feel offended because they don't understand why what they're doing is funny. I hope I'm making sense. And you are making sense.
She's making sense. But with your nephew, like I would just say, it go by age. Encourage him to, the older he gets, use other forms of praise. Instead of "good job," say, "Oh, you smart," you know, like something, just something a little different. And, you know, it'll widen his vocabulary. It'll widen his expectations. Just kind of go by age. Like, okay, well, you know, it's been a couple weeks now. He's learned a little more. I praised him enough with this. Let me praise him with this, you know, this time. As far as people laughing at him and things of that sort, people don't understand it. And a lot of people will laugh at things that make them uncomfortable.
But by people don't understand it, I think what he means is people don't understand autism.
People don't understand autism. Yeah, I mean, people don't understand autism, and you know, and even children, you know, sometimes do things that adults don't understand. But I just think it's kind of just comes in constantly correcting people in the most, you know, mannerful way possible, and just letting them know, like literally, he doesn't understand that type of joke. So if you like making that type of joke is null and void when it comes to him because he doesn't understand that kind of humor, or you know, do it like this because he doesn't understand that. It's always kind of just like not only correcting the child, but correcting the adults to let them know, like, you know, he doesn't understand that kind of humor just yet, or say it like this, or approach him that way, you know.
Our next is from Valentina. Hi, Val. Her question is, what's your secret for always being on your A game? What impact does Miah have on your life? So what's your secret for being on your A game?
Well, I think the collective secret for being on our A game is just us understanding and playing off of our weaknesses and our strengths. And Shay has so many strengths as the mom in the relationship, and she's taking care of appointments, therapies. She's making sure things are on the calendar. She's making sure that he's really getting what he needs. And I'm more or less am, you know, constantly.
Like he's hands-on.
Yeah, I'm
like
hands-on.
He's the most hands-on father, and I'm not just saying that because that's my husband. I'm saying that because he is the most hands-on father I've ever met. I mean, he's so invested in, and not just our boys, but Jeremiah's therapy. He wants to know exactly. I mean, not saying I don't, but what I'm saying is you're you're like on it.
Yeah.
So we balance each other out. So where I'm lacking, I feel like that's where you pick up.
Yeah, and where I'm lacking, that's where she picks up, and that collective effort becomes the A game.
Yeah.
And what impact has Miah had on your life?
If it wasn't for Jeremiah and Jeremiah's diagnosis, I don't think that I would know who I am as a person. So I would say that's the biggest impact, was really finding myself. Because, you know, me at 18, fresh out of high school, I was terrible. And then me, you know, at 23, completely different person. I'm just a changed person. What's his impact on you?
So his impact on me is just, and it really wasn't until he was diagnosed. I'll be honest, like, I'm a better father after his diagnosis, which is kind of weird. But I would just say that I knew, you know, from when we got that news that, you know, there would always be things that he would have a hard time with, things that he would lack. And I believe that us as parents should always, we should pick up that area where our children lack and pick it up ourselves, teach them how to do that, and then they'll pick it up themselves one day. So I just wanted to do that for him. I feel like some of that could have been done for me as a child. And so, you know, I just wanted to make sure he's never left behind in no way. And, you know.
So he's made a huge impact. So the next question is from Monique.
Okay, so Monique says, a good thing to cover would be how to deal with ignorance surrounding autism. I remember you posting something about a woman complaining about your child as he was crying.
You said you apologized because he has autism.
No, I said I didn't know that he had autism.
Yeah. So it changes things now because he has autism. Don't ever pass judgment. Just all I'm saying is just be understanding when you come out here in public, because you had no idea he had autism. But now you're sorry at the fact that you didn't know he had autism. Like, you know how hard it is for us parents out here? You don't even know how hard it is. You think it's hard for you to hear the screaming out here? It's hard for us, just as hard. Yeah. Well, you did upset me. Have a great.
I think that was a great question. Honestly, I don't even know how I controlled myself because I pop off at the mouth. But I wanted to take that time to educate that person so that it didn't happen to another family. I think that was my logic behind it. I think had I have not taken that time and taken that route, it would have been a different story.
Yeah, because now when she sees other, you know, kids in public, that might come to mind, like, hey, that kid could be autistic. Let me not say anything. And I think it's important when addressing ignorance surrounding autism to always use it as an opportunity. You know, when I feel like people are being ignorant about it, like, that's my opportunity to teach you something, to make you more insightful.
How do we deal with the ignorance? Is we mainly ignore it. We don't notice.
Yeah, and for us, you know, we have the stares and the little, you know, snicks and stuff like that. But, you know, it really comes with, I'm sensitive of what Jeremiah understands and knows, and he really doesn't understand those types of looks and things like that right now. So we kind of just ignore him.
Keep it pushing.
We're genuinely happy, so we don't really notice, you know, other people who have something to say. We take it head on.
I would just suggest minding your business, though.
Yeah, and I always tell people, if you mind your business, most of the time, you won't have to run into they always tell me, I didn't know he was autistic, you know, but well, if you were minding your business, you still wouldn't know, and you wouldn't have to know, and I wouldn't have to tell you.
Right.
I wouldn't have to make you feel bad or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So this coming from Kiana.
Kiana.
All right.
And she says, how do you and your hubby keep the spark with 2 kids, balancing work and the kids without neglecting your relationship? What advice do you have for new parents that are finding out that their child has autism? Are there days where you feel like you aren't doing enough for your kids? How do you overcome those self-doubts? Those are good questions.
Those are great questions.
Those are really good
best questions ever.
Yeah. So Trayvon and I have set days off. So for sure we have Sundays off. Sunday is our family day no matter what.
Yeah.
We are fortunate enough where if we do close at our job, we get off no later than 6:15, so we have the rest of the night. With that being said, I would say planning a family day is really important, where you're planning a day with all of you guys.
Yeah.
And then where there's time where it's just you by yourself. So like I'm without Trayvon, Trayvon's without me, and then us together. we have our date nights, how we like Trayvon's literally my best friend. So it's really hard to answer this question because if I'm being honest, like he's literally my best friend.
Yeah, and we've been doing everything together for a minute. I will also say to keep the spark, it may sound cliche, but it's definitely the village. And we take advantage of our village. Our aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, and, outing opportunities for us where we get to leave the children with the grandparents is also a socializing activity for Jeremiah because he learns how to deal with some adult or a different adult without us.
Yeah.
Take advantage of your village, let them take the burden off you sometimes, so that you guys can enjoy each other, while enjoying your experience as parents also. And I feel like we definitely do that a lot.
I want to add to communicating where you feel like there's a disconnect, if there's a disconnect.
Yeah.
Because if you're not open and honest, then how am I supposed to know that I'm not meeting your needs and vice versa if you're not being open? So I think that's really important too, like for us. It's definitely harder too because Jeremiah has therapies and school now. So the time where, let's just say Jeremiah has therapy for 2 hours from 3 to 5 and we're both home and we want to go out as a family, we can't because we now have to be here at home facilitating Jeremiah's therapies. Mm-hmm. So again, I would just revert back to, for us, planning.
Yeah, planning ahead.
So that we have something to look forward to, too.
Then you know what your whole month look like before you even get to it.
Yeah.
And then her next question is, what advice do you have for parents that are finding out that their child has autism? And I think this is food for you. This is who we do it for because I would say, man, it took me a year. Yeah. Probably a year to get just past the trauma of having a doctor look you in the eye and tell you that. So I would say it's definitely okay to grieve, and I would implore you to go and look for, different resources. There's usually resources in your city. There's groups with other parents that you can speak to. And turn to, YouTube, Google, like these types of videos. This is what we're doing it for the parents that literally just found out and you're at the darkest point of your life. You can come and you can take our vulnerability and make it your strength.
I would say if you're fortunate enough to have your spouse or their father or their mother in your life, I would say turn to them. That's big.
Yeah, I mean, and at that time, all we had was each other.
I say all we had was each other, mainly because we couldn't just pick up the phone and, call a friend who has a child the same age as Jeremiah. Yeah. Because if we did, what did we get? Oh, it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay. He's
going to be fine. And we don't know if he's going to be fine. We don't even know his future. We don't know what to expect. So to answer that question, what advice would you give for new parents finding out that their child has autism is, one, it's okay to feel what you're feeling. If you feel sad, if you feel mad, you have every right to feel sad and mad because it feels like you just lost your child. You had all of these hopes and all of these dreams for your child to go off to college, to drive a car, to have a family, and now your hopes are, can they even live on their own? Can he live without me?
Yeah.
So
will he be with me till adulthood?
Yeah. So my biggest thing is it's okay to feel how you're feeling. However, keep in mind that the longer it takes for you to get over the diagnosis, the more it'll affect the child. Because a lot of times what happens is parents can't come to terms with it, or parents are having a hard time, and then they push off the therapies. They push off the speech therapies. They push it off, and then a year goes by, and now your child is a year behind because you decided to take a while to grieve.
Yeah. Are there days where you feel like you aren't doing enough for your kid? Definitely. I think all parents go through this. Just this past summer, when Jeremiah was out of school, I felt like I saw a lot of digression without the daily activities of just going to the schoolhouse, sitting down with the kids, getting his name off the board. There was a lot of digression in his ability without that. But with that, it's just about pushing through those times.
Yeah.
And it's definitely about mental strength. You know, if you keep mental strength in the household, you'll be surprised what you and your family and your children can overcome. You know?
Yeah, there are some days where I feel like I'm not doing enough, mainly because I work 40 hours. I'm full-time at work. So that in itself, I just feel like I'm less than, because I'm not physically present there. I'm at work more than I am at home.
Yeah.
And when I am at home, it's, you know, I try to cherish that time that I do get with the family. There are some days where I'm like, damn, I'm a damn good mom. I did, psh, you know? So there's some times where I'm like, dang, like, yeah, I didn't do enough, or, oh, today I just feel like I could have been better. But then there's some days I'm like, shoot, I'm a bomb mom. Like,
I feel you. And what she's saying is very true. Success breeds confidence in any situation. And from the first time that I taught him how to do something and that he did it correctly, that's what let me know, bam, I can teach him. He can learn. Let's keep doing this. And there's no limit to what I can teach him. It's just, you literally have to work as hard as you can day in and day out. And, you know, nothing worth having is easy to get.
Paola.
I think it's Paola.
We don't want to butcher your name, so
Yeah.
we're definitely going to put your @ name below.
Shout out.
You actually asked a few questions, so we're going to go with this one first. How long did it take you and your husband to cope with your son's diagnosis?
And for some of us, you know, it's very traumatic. I'm not over it. I don't think any of us ever really get over it.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just about getting through it and just building yourself, building your child, building your mental strength as you go. You know, you will see your child you'll see them bloom just like they're supposed to.
I don't think it's necessarily getting over it. I think it's more so coming to terms with the diagnosis. How do you manage to make time for each kiddo, yourself and your husband, without feeling any guilt? Ooh, she has a 4-month-old, and she feels a lot of mommy guilt. I either feel like I'm giving one more time than the other. I know your biggest thing was feeling any guilt, and my youngest son is 1, and the 3 months that I took off work, I can say I did feel bad, especially having a son on the spectrum who needs your attention just as much as the baby, because at that time he was measuring at like a 1.5-year-old. So here I am, you know, caring to the baby, but they also have different needs.
Yeah.
What was very important for me when Jeshua was born, around the same age as your child, keeping them on a schedule. Remember, I had their nap times in sync.
Yeah, definitely.
Like bedtime in sync, nap time in sync, eating in sync. Of course, Jesh ate every 3 hours, but they were like this, so that when they're eating, okay, I'm feeding Jesh, but I'm also, you know, feeding Jeremiah too. I think what we did too in the beginning was Trayvon would take Jeremiah to the park by himself. So we would do things as a family, us 4, and then we would do, like, I would do something with Jeremiah, Trayvon would do something with Jeremiah. I would do something with Josh, Trayvon would be home with Josh while I'm, you know, with Jeremiah. So I think that was very important, letting him know you're still your individual, mommy and daddy still love you.
Yeah. And then just try to incorporate playtime together as much as possible. So I try to make sure, like, I'm focusing on both, like, let's both get in the ball pit. Okay, this is your toy, man, we do this. So, you know, it's going to be hard, but definitely if you can manage the time by doing a lot of things together with the kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
How has autism change affected your life?
So, for us, really, like, in the most literal sense, like, outings are a lot harder. Being in public around a lot of people, a lot of loud noises, a lot of lights, and just a lot of stimulation. It's very hard to take Jeremiah out in public on those days and things like that. So I definitely think it's changed our life, and like, we literally think about the places where we're going, like how can that help or better the situation?
Sure. I think how it's affected me is it definitely altered my parenting style. I went into, you know, having Jeremiah as, I'm not going to take this.
Yeah.
If he does that, I'm going to pop his hand, and, you know, this.
We plan to raise him very similar to the way we were raised.
However, you know, finding out about his autism, it was a situation where, you know, we'd pop his hand because he'd do something and he completely just blank stare. Like he wouldn't
understand.
Like, what just happened? Like, why did you just do that? And even if we explained to him what happened, he's like, I felt guilty after finding out his autism because here I am treating him a certain way because this is how my parenting style was. But then upon finding out his autism, that completely changed me as a mom.
Definitely.
I didn't think I'd be as patient as I am. What advice can you give to other parents with children with ASD?
Paying very close attention to the child and making sure you remember that they're human. So they're going to hit a lot of their milestones, and they're going to feel different from everyone else, even though they may not be able to show you that they feel different. So always being tolerable of just all that your child gives you, you know. And just like she said, like, although you may want to raise your child the way you were raised, it may not be best for their development. So always, you know, cater to their development, and, you know, the same tolerance that you expect from the world for your child, you should also give it to them.
I think my biggest advice, honestly, what would I give other parents? Especially if I'm being honest, a lot of times we have a problem of putting what Jeremiah didn't do at this age, and we're constantly comparing, which is normal. It's completely normal to do so because obviously we have a son with special needs. But I think it's really important that you treat them separately. You discipline them separately. They're two separate people. Jeremiah's receptive to a certain parenting style or a discipline style, and Josh is receptive to a different discipline style.
Yeah.
So I think what's really important is stepping back and really being able to separate
Definitely
the two.
And that's exactly what I mean with pay attention. And when you're paying attention, you'll see what the difference is. You'll see what they need.
Vanessa asked us, did you have any negative thoughts about your son before his diagnosis? Like, did you wonder why he wasn't like the other kids? And do you have any guilt associated with those negative thoughts? To answer your question, yes, I did have negative thoughts. I did bring it to Trayvon's attention, and that is how we got him diagnosed, is those, I guess you would say, negative thoughts. I definitely had guilt associated with the negative thoughts, only because, again, I used to discipline him. I used to pop him thinking he understood things that he didn't understand. So there was guilt with that. I wouldn't say there was guilt necessarily with me thinking the way that I thought of Jeremiah, because I knew he was behind. It was just more so how I was talking to him.
Sholabonds, you feel me? Team Walker, though. This is my aunt, actually.
Yeah, this is, so she asked a really good question.
Great question.
It says, is there anything you shouldn't say to parents of autistic children? I wouldn't bar anyone from saying anything. I would just recommend minding your business. Once again, just mind your business. Because it's like, I'm not going to tell somebody not to say, it's freedom of speech. So really, you can say whatever you want to me. It's a matter of how we're going to react to you. But at the end of the day, you won't get a reaction if you just mind your business or if you don't say anything at all. So I would say, is there anything you shouldn't say? I would say, don't say anything at all.
And I wouldn't say, like, is there anything you shouldn't say to autistic parents? Like, I mean, we all know the difference between right and wrong, what you should say to somebody. But I would say, if you want to approach, like, people approach me a lot about it. And for me, it's about their language and about the way they're approaching me about it. Are they approaching me about it from a place where they want to learn about this? Or are they just being nosy just to chastise? I would say people should ask more questions than comments. If you're asking a question, it's hard for me to, like, misconstrue it. But, you know, to walk up to a parent of an autistic child and comment something, unless it's praises or unless it's, he's doing a great job or you're doing a great job, it can be misconstrued as something else because as far as we're the experts on Jeremiah. No one else in public. So
yeah. The question says, in which way can family members be supportive after diagnosis? I think you should give them their time, first and foremost. To go back to your first question, for family members, I would not say everything will be okay.
Just don't say that.
I know we said we didn't really have anything for people not to say, but that that is a pet peeve.
This is.
Because that's insensitive. Like, you think you're being sensitive toward, that's being very insensitive. Because how can you, most likely, someone who either one doesn't have a child or have a child that doesn't have special needs, tell me whose son has special needs that everything's going to be okay?
Everything is going to be okay.
You don't know that.
Not at all.
So avoid that at all costs, please. Because we got that a lot. And that probably annoyed me.
Go to the drawing board. Go find books. Hit the internet. Find out as much about autism as you can when your family member finds out that their child or someone is autistic, so that you can at least know what the situation is before you walk into this thing in an insensitive manner. Or lou.el.la asked a series of very loaded questions.
Loaded questions. You guys all ask great questions, but lou.el.la,
you guys,
she came through with the punches.
Yeah, with the heat. So her first question is a very controversial question. Number one, what do you think is the cause of autism?
I think I would rather answer what caused Jeremiah's autism. What we thought caused Jeremiah's autism, because this is a page about Jeremiah. So let's do that. I think it's a variety of things, and Trayvon also has his own opinion. I want to make it clear, we don't know the cause of autism. We do not know the exact cause of autism. When they diagnose your child or whoever in your family with autism, they will not tell you what causes it because they do not know. So I just want to be clear. I think it was the emergency C-section. He had emergency C-section due to his umbilical cord being wrapped around him. It could be the loss of oxygen. I think by us vaccinating him, all of those vaccinations at, one time, not being educated. And what you want to do with your child is what you want to do with your child, and I can't tell you otherwise. But I can say for my son, I think putting 22 vaccinations before the age of 2 in my child was not beneficial.
I think it's a compilation of all of those things, including manipulating a woman's immune system while the baby is in utero. And I don't think vaccines completely cause Jeremiah's autism, but I do think they had a part of it.
Yeah, I think it was a part of it. I don't think that was like a full-on 100%.
Two?
Do you ever feel any guilt like you did something wrong? Yes, I think my guilt was not being educated, letting the doctors, letting everyone tell me what to do with my first child, and not educating myself. If I just knew then, and I think we can all, for everything, if we knew then what we knew now, things would be so different. And who's to say Jeremiah would still have autism if we didn't, but I just know I would feel better with myself and less guilty had we have educated ourselves on the topic.
Yeah, I feel guilty for the same reason in that sense, that, why didn't I ask more questions? Why didn't I go in more educated? Why did I just let him tell me what was right and not figure out what was right myself? So that's just about it.
It says, do you worry that Jeshua will be on the spectrum? Of course. Of course. I mean, his brother has autism. We have family members on the spectrum. Yeah. So I think that's a very big concern. What are your hopes for Miah? So I feel like this is a question that we can go on and on about. I will say the end outcome. I ultimately want him to experience life the way everyone else is, from the perspective of the majority, if that makes any sense. Of course, at 19, he's going to experience life like everyone else, but how he's not aware right now, I want him to be aware. Like, I want him to have a family. I want him to get married. I want grandkids. I want him to go off to college. I want him to drive me around. I want these things for Jeremiah. I just want, in all reality, I just want Jeremiah to be normal.
My hopes for Jeremiah is that he continues to become his best self, because he will never be without autism. But at the very end of the day, I just want him to be happy.
I'd like Jeremiah to be functional.
Yeah.
I want him to be able to go to the bank and cash his check. I want him to be able to call his brother up and have a conversation with him. And
at the rate that he's moving right now, I can tell you that he will be doing that at the age of 19, 20. But yeah, definitely functioning and definitely happy and definitely as mentally strong as his parents, if not more.
Her last question is, what can I do as a future school psychologist to better serve families and students on the spectrum? So I think it would be very important for you, being a future school psychologist, is not just focusing on the negatives, but also praising for the positive there too, because it's very discouraging going into these meetings with those who work for the school district.
And focus on your results and not your non-results.
Yep.
Focus on your results. I think that's it. You know, we left you special, lou.el.la, for the end because your questions were so
questions were whoo! Yeah, I wanted to create a cyber environment for families like us who find out that their kid has autism, or know somebody and want to be able to relate to us. We're like a diary, kind of.
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is definitely for you guys, and we appreciate you guys for even being interested.
Yeah.
For wanting to get more knowledge. For the knowledge seekers, this is for you guys. We definitely appreciate you. And
bye.
Peace out, Mighties.
Bye, Mighties. Instagram.
Show them the wing guy. Look, flutter. Go ahead.
If you guys liked our video, feel free to comment, like, share, and subscribe. We do have a YouTube channel. Wait, hold on. Rewind. Tell me something.
Something.
Do a casting call.
What is that?
Like you're an actor. You're auditioning to be in my vlog.
My name is Trayvon. I just want to say that I'm a big fan of the show. I've been wanting to do Power for a long time. So, I'm going out for the role of Ghost. I know it looks a little, Sorry, Omari, I'm coming for you, dog. I'm coming for you, dog. You know what I'm saying? We the new Power. Tommy, how could you kill Angela?
I can't.
I wanted to leave him off with this quote that I got from Easter Seals.
Okay.
And the quote is it's very simple. Let's not be ashamed or slow to do the humble work. Never ashamed or slow to do the humble work.
Yep. I like that.
Yeah.